he shot this one from the hip, was like 10 feet away, and the bullet exploded, you know, it's going too fast for the kind of bullet it was. And it went down, of course, and all of a sudden it jumped up and took off and ran, and I ran with him and we shot him, finally got him, but that was a big buck, yeah. When I was growing up, I shot the .22 is all we had, and we had grain, so they would annihilate the grain, eat the grain. And my mom would give me a box of shells. He said, now shoot every squirrel, get a squirrel with every bullet. And the best I ever did was 48 out of 50.
A lot of people just kind of come through, do the tasting, and don't really maybe learn as much about the process, the land, everything that goes behind it. And then your guys' operation adds the little bit of extra twist to it with what you do on the hunting side. You said your mom was a pretty good shot?
Oh, she was an excellent shot. During the Second World War, she had a little single-shot .22, and we lived on the old Ernst property, not here. And Dad was in Germany, and she'd raise the bedroom window and shoot a cottontail in the vineyard, and that was dinner. You couldn't buy meat back then, it all went to the troops.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, she was a great shot. I wish I still had that .22, but I don't know where it got. Same with Grandpa's old .30-30.
We're hunting buddies, you know, and like, it's more that father-son type relationship where he was like, okay, Ryan's ready. Like, I got a hunting buddy for life now. 3-year-old Ryan or 10-year-old Ryan or whatever, and my legs still aren't as long as his, so it's just hold on for dear life and try to keep up.
You know where phase 1 is with the big tall ones? He'd be riding a 3-wheeler with me, and I'd karate chop the vines as we went. I'd go, ah, like that. He was 18 months old.
Oh, really?
But it was just my whole life, just following along, and I mean, it's almost more of an osmosis. You don't even realize what you're learning as you're learning it. It becomes so deeply an ingrained part of just every day, and it's kind of funny. My wife calls it the Howie and Ryan show. There's this idea that, you know, you got to be work-life balance, and you got to, you know, shut off work every once in a while. Well, when it was our hobby too, it's what's on our mind, it's what we like talking about, it's what we're going to talk about.
Right.
You know, things like hunting, and we figure out how to play while we're working. I think that's the biggest opportunity that it gave us, is just the number of hours that you couldn't even add it up.
Yeah. Well, then your dad got that great big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. And he shot it, what is long ways? I forget, 475 or 450, something like that. Ernst Brothers had about 7,000 acres. And that's where I started my buck hunting career, is on the Ernst Brothers, my uncles.
And how old were you?
I started going with them when I was 9 and 10, but I shot my first buck at 12 years old.
So my son turned 12 December of last year, so this will be the first year that he can hunt, and he was kind of into it. He'd always loved going out with me and, you know, looking at deer through the binos and stuff like that, but was never really all that excited about being part of a kill. He just, the messier parts bothered him, and so I wasn't going to force the issue, but it clicked last year for him.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. You know, when my guided groups had finished up and there was this nice mature spike fork buck that needed to get killed, and so I said, hey Bradley, let's go. You know, and I loaded him up in the pickup with me and grabbed my rifle, and we went and shot that deer. And then when it was Papa's turn,
Yeah.
you know, to go shoot a buck. And he says, well, can I go? I said, heck yeah, you can go.
Yeah.
And then the next day a friend came out, and, you know, so he got in on 4 deer hunts, and he's all in.
He's been our set of eyes also. I had a stroke in last July, and this was September, right?
Yep.
Yeah, September, so I was really wobbly yet, and I lost a lot of eyesight. We shot the buck, and anyway, we got that deer, and I presented my 243 to Bradley, and I bought it, I think it was in 1960, Savage 110L, left hand. And I said, I don't want to buy it unless I can shoot an inch patterned with it, and with open sights. And the gunsmith let me take it home and sight it in, and I shot less than an inch with open sights at 100 yards. And went back in town and told him I'd buy it. It's been my buddy for a long time now. Bradley has it.
Well, and it's cool when you think about it because, you know, hunk of wood and metal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all of this is. That's not just a piece of equipment or a tool or whatever. That's a lifetime worth of memories.
Right.
You know, and he's handing down that opportunity to make more of them with it. And I'm still a little ticked at my son for being left-handed. I don't care if it's on the wrong side. I wanted that thing.
You can figure out how to shoot that way.
I can make it work.
I told you on the pickup, I think, that my girlfriend and I would sit on the hill out here, which became my wife, and we'd watch air shows out at the airport here, and promised her I'd build her a house someday. And that came to fruition when we used to make money growing grapes.
They dreamt of that house in the mid-1950s.
Really?
They were dating in high school, and this ranch has been in the family, and they used to come sit up on the hill and dream about building a house. And it took 42 years, but they got it done.
You push on whatever comes along. You have to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's not easy, and sometimes everything works out the way it should. So anyway, we've been very blessed.
The story of our family tracks right alongside the story of Paso Robles and a lot of California, frankly. How do you best utilize a piece of dirt? You know, you saw back in the early 1900s, cattle was the thing to do. And alongside that, you'd do some hay and, you know, barley, crops like that. Some almonds, some permanent crops, but overall, you were just using what the land gave you readily. As technology improved, as water became more available, you start seeing this transition into higher value crops. And so wine grapes being the one that Paso Robles kind of landed on, with my grandpa Howie being one of the pioneers of that. He was looking for something to make his land make money. That's really why he landed there. And you know, fortunately, this area turns out to be an incredible place. It's one of the top growing regions in the world now. We've been on this property continuously farming it since 1921, farming wine grapes since 1982. I've been running a hunting operation since 2013. We've had the wine brand since 2006. Practices that we're implementing now, you know, the impact that it has on wildlife in a positive way is tremendous. Leaving that little bit of grass under the rows and in the middles, and then all these creek areas and stuff, the deer benefit, quail benefit, I mean rabbits, you drive around this place and you're gonna see 10 different species. and they're all thriving. You know, and these are populations that weren't in great shape not that long ago. Quail, we used to never be able to hunt quail on the ranch, and now you can have a heck of a little quail hunt. I mean, again, occasionally it would be, you know, an incidental kind of thing. We'd be out at work and, oh, there's a buck, shoot it, you know. But it didn't really get to be an intentional thing until 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in there. I am not a professional wildlife manager by any means, but I'm out here every day and I like to play. And so, you know, watching what these deer eat and why they eat, you know, there's certain weed species that grow naturally in the vineyard that they really like, that apparently offset something that they're not getting when they're eating those grape leaves. I've tried putting out mineral blocks. They don't touch them. I've tried putting out those protein tubs that, you know, local cattle ranchers will put them out and the deer will get to them before the cows can. They don't touch them here. I don't know exactly why that is, but what I do know is that the deer on this ranch are 30 to 40 pounds heavier than a typical deer in this area. You know, a big mature deer live weight on average in A-zone might be 160, 170 pounds, and we kill them over 200 pounds routinely. They're as healthy as any deer you're gonna find anywhere, and so the vineyard provides very well for all of their needs. From a wildlife standpoint, one of the things that we do that's just dramatically different than almost anybody around here is we farm in a very wildlife-friendly way. You know, our vineyards don't look as manicured and pristine as a lot of them because you just saw that covey of quail fly. You know, real tight grass is not good for quail. Trying to take a softer touch, a more sustainable type approach with, you know, reduction of herbicide usage. And so all of this grass down here, we're using that as almost a natural mulch type of effect. We let the grass grow and then that shades out weeds. So some of the more obnoxious type of weeds that would grow can't because that grass is occupying all of the real estate that they would use. And then it's also feed for deer. When we opened the tasting room in 2006, you know, it's a way to connect with people because I like to think we do things a little bit differently and we like to share it. Same thing with the hunting that I do now. I mean, we ride around in the truck all day and I'm sharing it with people that then turn around and share their story and share their experience. What I really enjoy about kind of what we do here and the setup here is that, like, our skinning shed is right across the parking lot from our tasting room. And we don't shut down deer hunting just because the tasting room is open. And so frequently there's an opportunity to connect with people. There's deer heads in our tasting room hanging on the wall. When we have events, if that barbecue's going, there's some venison jalapeno cheddar sausage on the barbecue. Because hunting is an integral part of who we are. And while I'm not gonna just haul off and shoot a deer in front of a tour full of people, the ability to connect what we do when it comes to conservation and hunting and eating wild game and all of that stuff, to connect with people that have zero opportunity to be exposed to it at any other time has been really cool. And I'm gonna say like 99% positive feedback. People can really engage with what we're doing because they can see the kind of either or aspect of, you know, most wineries that they've been to in Paso have that high fence around them and they're touting their sustainability certification. And then here we are, yep, we're killing deer, a lot of deer, but we're managing a deer population in a sustainable manner. We're utilizing the deer. It's a resource for us and people can connect with that.